Okay, welcome back to Friday's Tipping Postcast. We're going to quickly have a look at Haydock now before we get stuck into Shanti and the art card as well. These races are on ITV. We've got the 20532red.com handicap, which has Century Dream engaged, I believe, who's coming back from break, and Lord of the Rock. Frank, roll off the betting for us, please.
Century Dream is 4-1, Lord of the Rock 13-2, Montadab and Original Choice 7th, Hippo Constantino are 8th, Dreamwalker 10th along with King's Pavilion, and we're 14th bar.
Right, now I'm quite a big fan of this Century Dream because I think he loves soft ground and he's just a good horse, I think. Keels, so David doesn't steal all your tips, we'll go to you first this time.
Yes, actually Century Dream is a bit of a rare Cape Cross who actually loves soft ground, doesn't he? But the one I like is Lord of the Rock. I think it's quite simple. He won really well last time at York. He's been given a break now. I think he probably needs a break. He won first time out in 2016. Won the Spring Mile. The Lincoln Consolation, ran no sort of races after that, and no race first time out in the same race this year. But given a break, he came back at the end of July and he won very easily. I think he's fine on soft ground. They've always rated him quite highly, and I think he might actually turn into a very decent handicapper even as a 6-year-old.
Okay, Lord of the Rock for Keels. David, I'm banning you from picking him, so pick something else.
No, you're safe enough. I'm not going to go for Lord of the Rock. This Century Dream, when this ran, I know it hasn't ran for, I think, 63 days.
Yeah, it's had a break, hasn't it?
It's had a break, but it won at Doncaster. It was quite impressive when it won a handicap there in June. Travelled really well, won off 87. Looked the most uncomplicated horse you could find, tracked the pace, led about 2 out and won comfortably. Then it went to Ayr next time, was a short price favourite. Again, it says at 3/4 of a length it beat Truth or Dare by, but it was more impressive than the winning margin suggests. That was off 93. And then you go to Ascot, right, at the end of July, and you're saying this is the most straightforward horse you can find. It's drawn in stall 1. Happy days, up £5 for the recent win. I think it's better than that. And what does Ryan Moore do? Only hold it up out the back. And it just made absolutely no sense whatsoever to me. I was watching the race thinking, what the hell is going on here? Why bother holding the horse up when you know its bread and butter is basically sitting close to the pace, kicking on 2 out and winning. That's what it's done in its last 2 starts. Graham Lee, I'm sure, will revert to normal tactics on Century Dream this time. I think he's at least 100 horse in the making, and I think he'll win.
I think it's key to him is the ground as well. Even when he won it, he would have. I think connections were keen. He would have wanted it a lot softer. So obviously,
it's heavy at Haydock.
With the heavy ground at Haydock, I think I'm with you. I think Frank, anything different for you?
Yeah, I'm very, very keen on one here. William Haggis's Original Choice. He looks very progressive. The last day at Chester, he was second behind Dan Troop. Dan Troop went to Chester the next time and absolutely hacked up again. He's now 18 pounds higher. 2 runs previous to that at Haydock, Original Choice was beaten ahead over a mile on good to soft ground by Fire Brigade, who's been smashing the betting for the Silver Cambridgeshire today. The day against Dan Troop, he was just facing an impossible task. He was a little bit unlucky not to be a more clear second. He got a little bit of impeded in his run. While he was beaten 7 lengths, he might have beaten 4 or 5 lengths, but he would have been a clear second. So therefore, off a mark of 92, I think he's really well handicapped. He should handle the ground. I think he'll put it up to Century Dream. I think 7-1. I think there might even be 8 or 9-1. It's massive. I'm going to have a right go off this each way.
Okay, Frank's got a right go at that one. Get the wheelbarrow out, Frank. The 240 at Haydock is the nationwide vehiclecontracts.co.uk handicap. Hope I've said that right. In this one, we got Quench, Dolly, Mayleaf Shine, Swadalow, who won at Leicester on Monday, my local track. What are we reckoning of this one, Frank? How do they bet?
Yeah, Mayleaf Shine is 4-1, Confessional and Bouncy 6-1, Quench Dolly and Soy Delu 7-1, Tarboot 15-2 and 12's bar.
Okay, can we have another one that you want to get really stuck into? Or is there anything you really, really fancy in this, or is it a bit of a...
Do you know what I mean? I think there's 2 I like, Mayleaf Shine and Quench Dolly, and when I looked at it, this race has been won by horses up near the top of the handicap a few times in the last few years. She was unbelievably impressive at Goodwood last time.
Quench Dolly, this is, yeah.
Quench Dolly went dropped to 5 furlongs. Initially, when she was entered, I think she was entered in Ayr last week. I didn't think that test would suit her. But then I was looking here, and she's off 99, 3-year-old allowance. They'll probably go a good clip. The way she won a Goodwood and handle the ground, she might just be still well handicapped off 99. And while initially I wasn't keen on her when she was in air, I think she might be able to defy the rise. Like, I don't think £6 would have stopped her at Goodwood. And yeah, she's 7-1. I think again she's a bit bigger elsewhere. I'd probably have a small each way bet on her.
She's not the biggest filly. Do you worry about her carrying all that weight? Because I know they weren't keen she would actually like the soft ground, even though she won at Goodwood. So if this is proper Haydock heavy, is that a concern, or do you just think she's better?
Like we all know, that day or two at Goodwood was horrible, and I was really worried. I was really worried about her on the ground because I basically been following her for months for this Goodwood race, and I was like, oh shit, the ground was completely against her, and I couldn't really back her to the same level as I would have if the ground had been decent. But like, if anything, it was actually the most impressive performance she's put in so far. So yeah, like, as in, look, it's a competitive handicap, but at 9-1, yeah, I'm willing to spin the dice and have a go at that price.
Okay, DJ, Quench Dolly for you or something else?
Maddie, if I studied every single race on Saturday, I'd be divorced even before I get married. So this was one race I just had about a 15-second look at it, and I said I hate it, and I just moved on.
It's all right. You'll only steal Paul Keeley's tips anyway. Take it away, Paul, before he can say anything.
Frank, you know, Quench Dolly was 12s with you this morning.
Yeah, sure. Guess who caught it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it was 12-1. It was super impressive at Goodwood, and I don't see no reason why she won't go well again. And she was never a double-figure price in my view. And the one thing is, they're on the inner track as well, aren't they, Frank? On him again, I think they are. It doesn't ride as soft as the other one. That last meeting, they called it heavy at the Sprint Cup meeting. The ground wasn't the ground wasn't heavy. You know what I mean? And I was there, and I promise you, when time suggested it wasn't, it was nearer soft than it was heavy, and I don't think it'll be that bad. Even if it is, she clearly handles it. The other one I've had a couple of quid each way on at a bigger price than it is now is Confessional, just because his form figures at 5 furlongs when the ground is easy at Haydock are pretty exceptional. He just always hits the frame. He looked like he ran a funny race on Sprint Cup Day actually last time, because he looked like he was cantering 2 furlongs around, then got outpaced and then ran on again for third. I think he'll run well, but I think Quench Dolly is probably still a bit ahead of him up.
Bit of a legend of a veteran, that Confessional. Hello.
Sorry, I got that wrong. There's actually 2 horses I kind of like here. Quench Dolly and Confessional. Confessional, I think, might get outpaced and then just run on a bit. Only joke.
Of course you do. Right, we're going to move on now to it's not the rescheduled Air Gold Cup. We've had a big debate in the office as what to call this, because it's a different race, but then it's the same race and it's been sponsored by someone else. But anyway, we've got a lot of similar horses engaged. This is at 3:15. Sainted is a horse I really like an awful lot. We've also got Johnny Barnes, Mr. Lupton, Don Juan Triumphant, Growl, loads of good names in there. Obviously very competitive as you'd expect. Frank, how do they bet?
Yeah, at the moment, Johnny Barnes is 6-1 favourite. Growl 7-1 along with Shanghai Glory and Sainted. Don Juan Triumphant, Orion's Bow, Alias and Ice Age are 10-1. Stake a Claim, Kickboxer, Wither Sea are 14s, and we're 16th bar. Okay,
go for it, Frank. What do you make of this? I really like Sainted. Do you like her?
Oh yeah, she's very progressive. She's quite decent. But I had one in mind for the Air Gold Cup with a few weeks, and the fact it's switched to Haydock has actually made me more confident, and that's Don Juan Triumphant. Now it's just, look, he handles heavy ground. It should be a strong enough pace. 6 furlongs at Haydock, likes Haydock, won a 7 furlong race the last day. I know they're kind of worried that maybe he needs a bit further than 6, but I think with the strong pace and the ability to handle the ground will count massively. I just think he's rock solid. I think we are 5 places in this as well, so
really?
I'd be very surprised if he's not at least in the 5. But I really fancy him for Air. I'd even think he's better at Haydock. I think he's got a massive chance.
He's always been a classy horse, hasn't he? And I think that counts in races like this. David, again, I'm banning you from mentioning Don Juan Triumphant.
I can't talk because I fancy Don Juan Triumphant.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely do. And a key thing here that I think you have to factor in is just the form of the Andrew Balding stable. They're absolutely bombing at the moment. Like, he's had 8 winners in the last fortnight, and for Andrew, that's pretty hot. And his horses aren't just winning. Like, he had a winner of Foss last there a while ago by 22 lengths. Brief Visit won at Newmarket by 7 lengths. Barocco won. Like, they're running as good as they have all season. And I think this horse has been laid out for the race. Like, this is your group horse and a handicap kind of thing. Ground is perfect, track is perfect, stable in form. I just don't know what's not to like.
Okay, is there any point in me going to you now?
No. Yeah, there is. I mean, this race is just going to, at the end of the day, it's going to tie me up in knots, you see, because, before Don Juan Triumphant ran at Haydock, he was my horse for the Air Gold Cup. And
I can vouch for that, to be fair.
I had actually heard that if he ran, he probably wouldn't run because he'd pick up a penalty. If he won at Haydock, he probably wouldn't run because he'd pick up a penalty. And that didn't turn out. So anyway, I went off him because of the £5 rise. He's going up to Ayr, and I tipped Johnny Barnes. Now, Johnny Barnes is in the race, but when I tipped him, he was a bigger price than Don Juan Triumphant, and now he's a much shorter price than Don Juan Triumphant. So I'm sort of up in the air. Both really want soft ground. Don Juan Triumphant went off at 7-1 for the Betfred for the Sprint Cup last year, Group 1, and now he's obviously running in a handicap. I'm going to have to back him. I don't know how many more I'm going to have to back him here as well. I think Rene Mathis is still interesting. Running off a mark of 100, has been higher. I obviously had a problem, but
Bunbury Cup winner a few years ago,
Bunbury Cup winner, and he's won a big race at Goodwood on soft ground. The same one that Johnny Barnes won this year, actually. And he finished 5th in the Air Gold Cup last year. Now he likes soft ground. Trainer was originally a bit worried that he wouldn't be ready quite in time for the Air Gold Cup, but he declared it, and he's had another week as well, so that might have helped him as well. And there's plenty others in there who love soft ground that I've backed before, Withensea being one of them, Get Knotted another. But I'm going to end up going with Don Juan Triumphant, and when Johnny Barnes wins, I'll just have to.
Yeah, well, if we don't hear from you after that race, I think we'll presume that you've just gone off the cliff, and that's that.